So the good news is the Cubs did not lose today. A rain out at Wrigley means you get us a few hours early. Jed Hoyer, he's ready to be aggressive in the coming weeks to make the Chicago Cubs a certified contender. Let's talk about it next on the CHGO Cubs Podcast. Well, sitting in for Luke Stuckmeyer is on vacation this week. Joey, Cody, alongside me today, guys. No Cubs game today. Obviously, it's raining very hard, so you get us a few hours early, huh?
Yeah, I'm just happy that we got to come on here early just to show everyone that you two wore the 120 Club shirt, and I just wore a hoodie.
I'm also wearing shorts for the first time.
Yeah, which is like that's a me. Like you're doing your best me impression right now.
I don't know if I like it. I'm waiting for the comments in the chat.
I think you look handsome as heck.
Hey, thanks, man.
You look pretty good today.
I love you, man.
So this is the thing when you wear shorts on this set. These lights are bright, and I'll just stand up for Kevin here and say that his legs are not that white. When you based off what if you're watching on YouTube right now, his legs are not as white as what it seems.
I've been playing a lot of golf this summer, so I'm getting a little bit of color probably, but yeah. I don't know. I'm still pretty pale. You know what I could use is sitting in the bleachers with shorts on, and that would really help. And you could do that not in the Wrigley bleachers, but on the south side. Mm-hmm. And you want to go to the game, Rate's hooking you up with 2 tickets this summer. If you download the app, Cubs Sox, July 26th, Cody, all you have to do, it's pretty sweet, download the Rate app, enter at allchgo.com/rate, no purchase necessary. Just great vibes and great seats.
Yeah.
That'll get you tan pretty quick, and then I'll come back on the set and look a lot better.
Coming up, yeah.
Can you believe that we're like a month away from the second half of the Crosstown already?
I'm doing a bachelor party for July 26th.
Oh, okay.
18 bros.
Wow.
So there you go. Get your free tickets and go hang out with Joey. Yeah. Where are you sitting?
All you got to do is download the Rate app.
I don't know where we're sitting, but we're doing 3 hours of Top Golf first, 2 hours of pregame before the game. So will you really meet me? By the time you meet me during the game, will that actually really be me?
Well, you might be watching a completely different Cubs team at that point.
I hope so.
Not a completely different team, but a team that's certainly enhanced with a lot of talent, hopefully, that we're going to see added onto this roster in the next couple of weeks here. Maybe even as soon as next week. You know, we don't know. Jed Hoyer talked a couple days ago and even today on ESPN 1000 about how aggressive he wants to be in making this team even better. We already know they're a National League contender. They're great. Jed on the Score a couple days ago, if their deals and transactions are there, certainly, I mean, every turn through the rotation, every outing you get out of a player adds value, so it makes a lot of sense. When we were on the sell side, we were aware of that. So sometimes some of the sellers haven't declared themselves early. So it was a cold year for sellers. It made sense to kind of jump the market rather than wait for the market to get flooded as you get closer to the deadline. I think as a buyer, certainly it makes sense. If the prices aren't prohibitive, it makes sense to make a deal earlier rather than later. That's pretty exciting.
Well, I just think it's important because he's been making deadline deals like at the last second the last couple years, you know. So, you know, Jed can say whatever he wants to say. He was on ESPN 1000 with Cap and J Hood today too and said they asked him about, you know, if he had any concerns about ownership resources for the deadline, and he said he had no concern at all too, which I truly don't have concerns about. Tom Ricketts has openly come out and said that, you know, he said before the season that he expected them to be at first-tier luxury tax levels, and we're not there. Whether that's on him or on Jed, whatever, doesn't matter. You're 45 and 28. But I think that they've always acted upon, if they feel like they have a good chance to go on a run, they've acted at the deadline. And there aren't a lot of large examples to, I guess, hammer that down. But this team needs a frontline starter. They probably need another high-leverage reliever. And no one's talking about it, but, like, they probably could use another bat of some sorts. And honestly, like, the problem with that is I just don't know where. And then it's all about, like, do you want to deter Matt Shaw's development? Because depending on what happens with the Red Sox over the next month, why not? You know what I mean? Like, Bregman is a guy that they were interested in. And if the Red Sox fall apart, which I don't know if they will or not, but I'm just using Bregman as an example here. You could go in. He's probably going to opt out of the deal, so it's a rental deal. You're probably not going to have to give up a ton for Bregman. And before he got hurt, he was one of the best hitters in the league. So I'm not advocating to go get Bregman. I'm just saying that Matt Shaw over the next month is going to be very, very important to see how he does, because if you don't do anything to add another bat and you're just relying on Matt Shaw to be a really good defensive player and, you know, maybe he has some stretches and maybe improves as a hitter as the season goes along, like I hope. And if that happens, that's a best case scenario, and like I'll give Jed some credit for not biting on some dumb deal that he probably shouldn't do. But I think since he's came back from Iowa, he's been up and down. He's had some nice moments. The hit he had last night, we didn't even talk about it. The hit he had last night was nice to see. I just think we need to see a little bit more of him driving the ball, a little bit more power from him. The defense is great, and maybe this offense is good enough that they can deal with this version of Matt Shaw all season, but I do think that some form of a bat would be good. It's probably more likely a bench bat, but I'm thinking of all these different scenarios in my head of needs. Frontline starter, high leverage reliever, and some form of a bat. And the worst case scenario of a bat is if Matt Shaw just kind of bottoms out again or something. And with how good this team is, you cannot have that in September.
Well, that's what's going to be so fascinating over the next, 6 weeks, right, is that I think it's official, right? He's saying the quiet part out loud. Jed Hoyer and the Cubs are open for business.
Yeah.
Right?
No doubt.
It's time now. So the question then becomes, Cody, to your point, is for the Chicago Cubs, like you're walking into the store and you're going to put some money on the credit card, right? And you're going to go for it and make it happen. Are you buying the most expensive thing in the store, or are you buying a couple of different things to piece together and put together? That's going to be the really big question moving forward. And if it is a couple of things, is it the high leverage reliever, a starter? Could it be two starters? Could it be a bat? Or could it be someone that's at the high end? We are going to get to one particular name that I think Cubs fans were hoping would be on the market that maybe isn't on the market right now in this moment. We'll get to him in a moment. But this says that the Cubs are open for business, and good for them. They put themselves in this position right now. They have the lead in the NL Central. I think they've been talking about this for weeks, but the fact that he's now going out and saying it says that maybe there could possibly be a deal coming sooner than later.
Well, let's talk about the teams who are sellers right now, who are sellers when we talked June 18th, 2025, a month and 2 weeks ago until the trade deadline. The Los Angeles Angels will be sellers. The Chicago White Sox will be sellers. The Oakland Athletics or Sacramento Athletics will be sellers. In the National League, you got the Nationals, Marlins, Pirates, and Rockies. You have 7 teams right now that are selling. They're not making the postseason, and there's plenty of pitching that's going to be available there. I think Mark Feinsand mentioned the Cubs as a potential trade partner with the Angels for Tyler Anderson. Yeah, and Andrew Heaney of the Pirates, somebody we know pretty well. Would be really happy with either one of those guys as a middle of the rotation depth piece, guys who are pushing the 2-WAR standard right now. But going back to the bat, one name I haven't heard a lot of who's on an expiring deal and a team that isn't going to be selling right now but could be because they're kind of on the outside looking in right now, the Diamondbacks. What about Eugenio Suarez? He's not threatening Matt Shaw for the starting job. He allows you to be the right-handed bat and have Michael Busch platoon, and he's on an expiring deal.
He owes Cody a ton of karma for absolutely torturing you. For
us.
Yeah, us. Yeah,
us.
No, I know.
Think about it. I mean, expiring deal, so there's no long-term money in it.
Yeah.
An older veteran who's not going to be the future at third base, and you can put him in there. I don't know if I'm sure he's played first base at some point in his career. I'd have to look that up. But you could platoon him in there if you wanted to have another right-handed bat against lefty pitchers, and then you wouldn't have to have the lineups where you're starting Justin Turner and you're starting Vidal Brujan in the same lineup. That kind of offsets that offensive ineptitude from
I don't hate the idea. I guess it will be interesting to see where Arizona is.
Right. Yeah, we still have to wait, but I think it's an interesting name to throw out.
But like as far as like a bat, that's where I look at it. It's like a rental. But I think in his case, Do you want to use him like you're using Justin Turner, or would you want to play him every day? I know he's kind of a boom or bust player. As we've seen, the guy can hit tanks. He can also strike out a lot too. I know the batting average is low. At least last I checked, it was. Maybe he's gone on a heater and improved it. But as we've seen for a long time, the guy can hit. But I tend to believe that Arizona is going to try and stay in it and get into the wild card, just because I want to give them a lot of credit because they spent money. They tried. They went and got Corbin Burns, Jordan Montgomery last year, Eduardo Rodriguez. It's just they all either got hurt and they all have gotten hurt, or they just haven't performed, and that goes to Zach Gallen and Brandon Pfaadt. Yeah. And I really like Brandon Pfaadt as a prospect, but so yeah, their pitching is a mess. Martinez is out for the year with Tommy John too, who's their closer. So their pitching in general for Arizona is a disaster right now. How they're going to be able to survive, I don't know. They're going to need to find some guys to step up. So maybe they could find themselves way out of it and decide to take a step back. But it's going to be interesting.
They're sitting at 500 right now.
Yeah,
so.
Cody, I want to throw it back to you really quick. I want to get your take on some of the things that Jed Hoyer said in, I can't remember which hit it was, but he did 2 different hits over the last day or so, talking about, I thought he was a little transparent about trying to protect some of the guys in the rotation right now. Matthew Boyd, who hasn't had hasn't pitched a heavy load of innings over the last couple of years. Ben Brown, we all know the story with Cade Horton. What is your take with that? Is that him kind of saying also another quiet part out loud that, obviously pitching, and maybe it isn't the high-end guy, maybe it isn't the Nathan Eovaldi, but maybe it is a combination of Andrew Heaney and maybe also a guy like Tyler Anderson.
To me, I've started to think on my head that they need to get 2 starters.
Right.
Right? And so that's a front line and then maybe a depth guy. You know what I mean? So to me that's what they need to do. I am curious on who that depth guy will be. I think the front line, I know Sandy is a guy that me and Corey talked about last night. It's one of our mini pods this week. Check it out on CHGO Cubs YouTube channel or on the audio feeds. Obviously, Chris Sale is a guy that we've talked a lot about. Came out of Atlanta today that he is apparently not on the trade block.
Quit looking at him.
Yet.
Right?
Yeah. So those are the two my 2 guys for front line, if you're going to get one of them. But as far as a depth guy, I mean, there's going to be options out there. And I saw the guys that you mentioned, Kevin, and then I've seen some other guys from that have been thrown out there. Maybe Soriano from the Angels, maybe. Forgot his first name.
Rafael Soriano.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't know, but I do think that getting 2 starters would be ideal, just because I've emphasized this a lot. Cade Horton has never pitched over 100 innings at the professional level, and he's at 60-some right now in June.
I had a cold dose of Matt. I forgot Matthew Boyd, is recovering from injury, and he hasn't put a heavy inning workload either, and he's been pitching so great. But again, they're thinking about that. Yeah, and they're thinking long term. Good for the Cubs.
And I think the Cubs are hoping. I think coming into the year, the Cubs were hoping to get at maximum 120 from him. You know what I mean? He's got around 75 right now, something like that. So I mean, they need some dudes. I mean, this Justin Steele injury hurts enough, but just being able to get through the year with some arms is another thing. That's why not having Javier Assad has been in many ways a big loss. You can get a little flexible. You can maybe you flip one of these guys out with Chris Flexen, who started before. I don't know how Drew Pomerantz feels about starting. I also don't really want to take them out. They've been excelling in the bullpen, you know what I mean? Yep. But if you take one of those guys out and, you want to cut down innings on Cade Horton or Ben Brown, I get it. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of fans don't want to hear that, but it's just the fact of the matter that Cade Horton has never pitched over 100 professional innings, and he's coming off a year where he got hurt. I think next year you can think a little bit more about increasing that innings total. But I wish I was inside the Nerds house at 1060 West Addison and had an idea of how many innings they want Cade Horton to pitch this year, man. And Ben Brown was hurt last year too. We can't just assume this guy's just going to be able to go out there every 5th day all season long. And so that's to me, that's a big question. And we'll find out.
Cubs and Brewers delayed today. No game at the friendly confines. A lot of rain in Chicago. They will play a day-night doubleheader on August 18th and wrap up the series with Milwaukee tomorrow. We got to get to our first ad break here on the CHGO Cubs podcast. CHGO Cubs is sponsored by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code CHGO365. Put $10 in, place a bet for $5, get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. You get the basketball early payout offer. NBA Finals on right now with Bet365 early payout. You're a winner if your team goes up by 20 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. Download the app and use the code CHGO365 when you sign up. And breaking news from Bet365, new customers, $150 in bonus bets when you put down $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code CHGO365, put $10 in your account, bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and up. If you know someone who has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in app only.
Hey, baseball fans, if you're thinking about upgrading your drive this season, Toyota's 2025 lineup is definitely worth a look. There's the RAV4. It's versatile, reliable, and always ready for a little adventure. The Grand Highlander, plenty of room, super comfortable, great for families or long road trips, Joey. Looking for efficiency, the Corolla's got you covered as well. It's smart, stylish, and easy on gas, all right? Summer starts here. From adventures to weekend escapes, our versatile lineup is ready to ride with amazing deals to match. So visit your local dealer and find yours today. You can check out the full lineup at Toyota.com or stop by your local Chicagoland Toyota dealership. Toyota, let's go places. And again, we say this every show. It's a perfect time to become a CHGO diehard and upgrade your fandom today. Get access on all exclusive written content, a free t-shirt like the Friday 120 Club shirt that Kevin and Joey are wearing.
Yeah, where's yours, by the way?
It's at home in the laundry. I need to wash it before Friday. Plenty of discounts on future merch and events if you become a diehard, plus access to the CHGO Discord Lounge where we all hang out and talk Chicago sports and so much more. So go to allchgo.com for the latest information on how you can join the thousands of CHGO sickos in our community. We can't wait to connect with you on a greater level.
No game today. Cubs and Brewers postponed. Lots of rain in Chicago, so we're talking about trade acquisitions, potential targets for the Cubs. Jed says and admitted on both radio stations in town, The Score and ESPN 1000, he's ready to make a move when the market presents itself. He's not worried about ownership giving them money to go make a big-time move if that is what it's going to take here. So, yeah, we're talking about potential trade targets. We're talking about a lot of things. In the chat, shout out to
Did you see Ralph saying Luis Severino?
I was actually looking at Luis Severino's numbers this year. That would be a great target. 3-year deal in the offseason for $67 million. So that's kind of along the lines of close to what Tyone signed. I know Tyone was a little longer.
Tyone got a 4-year deal, so around that amount. So.
Similar, and again, that's another depth piece for the middle of your rotation. I think the A's are definitely sellers. I don't know if they will look to move certain guys. Again, we'll have to wait and see. But it does sound like the Cubs are going to get a starting pitcher sooner rather than later, and it also sounds like they're going to get Shota Imanaga back next week. Depending on how his the rest of his rehab goes. So this is fun. This is just we'll talk on this before we get to PCA because that's the topic of the day. But I did see James in the chat put, what about Anthony Rizzo for a bench bat? How are the medicals? I don't know how Rizzo's doing, but that'd be kind of funny. Hits lefties. There's your first base platoon,
dude.
How cool would that be?
We need like 9 straight days of like him on Twitter in the cage, right? Or him like moving a medicine ball or something like that.
And listen, I know everybody.
It's a daily question in the chat,
right? Right. I know everybody's rolling their eyes. Everybody's rolling their eyes, and they're like, "Oh no, it's never." But I don't know. Like, I mean, come on, maybe.
CHGO's finest Ben Zobrist too. While we're at it, I mean, what are you doing?
I don't think
Ben
it's
Zobrist.
Happen,
we all know he retired not because he couldn't play anymore. I won't.
You don't think he could hit a fastball right now? He can drive and a run.
He retired because of reasons that I would never wish upon anyone else. All right, so
yeah, exactly.
Listen. They they're going to need a lefty bench bat, in my opinion. And this isn't because I kind of dimed him as my, for this giant bit 2 years ago, but Mike Tauchman makes a ton of sense for this team. Like a guy who can just kind of come off the bench to start an inning if you want to pinch hit a guy who can get on base, and then you can roll with Birdie or Brujan to come in and pinch run in an inning that you need a run or something like that. Like, that's the kind of bat that I really, truly think the Cubs need. Like, maybe it doesn't have to be Mike Tauchman, but he's the first guy that I think of, and he's on the White Sox, so
wouldn't cost
I feel
you
like
anything.
Yeah, he's not going to cost you anything. He's all like the fans already love him. He's having a decent year with the White Sox too. He was hurt early in the year. Like, for the role of being a bench bat, to come in a situational spot to get a hit or to get on base or something, like that's a guy. That's a guy that makes a lot of sense for the Cubs off the bench, who's playing well, who's, from the area. You want some nostalgia, Kevin? There's your nostalgia. All right.
Well, I might be off by like a percentage or something like that, but I think the MLB average right now is 3.85 pitches per at bat. Mm-hmm. Mike Tauchman's seeing 4.77 pitches per at bat right now.
Yeah,
so when you're talking about that one at bat, grind something out, get on base, Palatine Pounder, the autumn of Mike Tauchman. Bring it back.
Yeah, if we get the October of him, that'd be sick.
It's kind of funny to see
the
people.
Tauchman?
Yeah, there is a lot of former Cubs that could be had at this deadline that are having good years. Kyle Hendricks, another one. Again, I don't see any.
Kyle Hendricks is not having a good year, but he had a good start yesterday.
Solaire's on the market again.
He's having an okay year.
He had an ERA over 5 going into yesterday.
Was it really that bad?
Yeah.
That's likely not.
And I hate to say it because I was such a defender of him last year, but
the Rizzo thing. It's likely not a thing either. It's just fun to talk about. But what is a thing? Pete Crow-Armstrong, you guys talked about this on the show last night. Dude's just outstanding. For Jesse Rogers, 19th homer this season. It's the most by any Cubs outfielder in the team's first 75 games of a season since Sammy Sosa. 2002. Been over 20 years since a Cubs outfielder has had this many homers in 75 games to start a season. Yeah, Pete's had an incredible run. We're watching something very special, and I think all the fans know that now, and I think that's the coolest part is we're watching something special develop every single night with this guy, and he's going to be the starting center fielder in the National League in the All-Star game. What a night last night, though. I mean, holy cow. I didn't get to talk with you guys about it. I was on the phone with my girlfriend. I'm like, hang on. Oh, my God, he caught it. And she goes, what? I'm like, never mind. Just Pete made an awesome catch. Don't worry about
Pete being Pete.
Yeah, he's just doing his thing.
So I threw that tweet into our rundown because, anytime I can bring up Sammy Sosa, I'm going to do it.
Let's do it.
Okay? But in 2002, Sammy Sosa went on to hit 49 homers in 150 games, had a 288, 399 and a 594 slash line with a 157 WRC plus. Somehow only was a 5 WAR player.
Is that good?
That's pretty good. I feel like all of that he should have been more than a 5 WAR player, but maybe at that point in his career the defense wasn't as good, and that's all mainly offense and that. This is a Fangraphs WAR 5.1, but yeah, I mean when you compare that to what PCA is doing so far this year, I mean. 3.9 Fangraphs WAR going into today, and 19 homers in 72 games is pretty sick.
It's unbelievable. So I threw it in Notion before the show. You guys ready for my PCA nerd nugget?
Please.
I'm ready.
Okay, so PCA nerd nugget. Just like you last night, I'm watching this game, and we see PCA take control of the game for an inning, right? He makes that amazing dive and catch.
5% catch probability.
Yeah, hits that laser tank off of William Contreras' name off the scoreboard.
Jackson Churrios.
Oh, was it Jackson Churrios?
Yeah, which makes it a little bit better, honestly, just because both fan bases for the last year have been like, who's better? And Brewers fans for the first year were like, yeah, it's obviously Jackson Churrios. You guy wouldn't even start for the Brewers.
Time to get sleeveless and say an expletive when you see something like that.
And then Pete started wearing Mariah Carey cutoffs at pregame and decided to be an MVP caliber player. And yeah, I mean,
it's unbelievable. So I'm watching it, right? And I'm like, and I swear to God, in my head, I just said, that was Griffey type stuff. And then I said, hold on, Joey, slow down. And I called Dr. Luke Stuckmeyer, and he said 2 sprays of reality spray. But then it got me thinking a little bit about a little bit of trying to put it in perspective of what PCA is doing as the type of player that he is. And so what are the 4 things that we talk about when we talk about PCA, right? We talk about his home runs this year.
Stolen bases.
Defense.
Gold
Glove, right?
Yeah,
and then we talk about WAR because he's on top of Major League Baseball, if not National League. So I was like,
National League.
Yeah, National League. Yep. So out of those 4 quadrants, since 1990, like who has done that? And I try to put some markers on it. So the first marker was 30 home runs, 15 stolen bases, a Gold Glove, and also a WAR above 8, which he's on pace for right now. There are only 10 guys since 1990 that have done that. A guy now 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases, a WAR over 8, and a Gold Glove in the same season. There's only been 3 other dudes that have done that since 1990.
I guessed about
Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds,
you got
6 times in the 90s.
Okay.
Barry, 6 seasons in the 90s.
I guessed like 6 guys got them all wrong, but I only missed on one category on 3 of them.
Correct. So a lot of guys got 3 out of 4, but not everyone swipes the bags, hits the dingers.
Well, let me guess. All right. So I got Barry Bonds.
Yes.
You said
Barry
there's
Bonds.
3 of them?
There's 3. Bobby Witt Jr. last year.
Bobby Witt Jr.? Okay.
Try to guess the last one.
The last one's crazy, but it's also a very funny player comp.
Alex Rodriguez?
No, didn't have the stolen bases.
Same division.
Center fielder, AL East, mid 2000s.
Johnny Damon?
Close. Who? Another
Same
one
team.
hit, one
Same
hit
team.
wonder. Same team.
1 year wonder?
Yeah, he had it just.
He was playing center field for the Red Sox?
In
It's not Johnny Damon.
2011, Jacoby Ellsbury, 8.3 WAR, 32 home runs, 39 stolen bases, 105
Jacoby
RBIs.
Ellsbury,
Yeah,
yeah.
and Gold Glove. MVP came in second. Now, honorable mentions, right? Like Shohei, 50 for 50, right? We got to throw that out there, but he didn't play the field. Not very
DH,
fair.
yeah.
I threw out Jimmy Rollins because 30 home runs, 20 triples, and 38 doubles, 41 stolen bases, Gold Glove. In 2007, that's pretty cool. Sandberg, shout out to all our fans out there. He's got a statue, 8.5 WAR, 19 triples, 19 home runs, 36 doubles, 32 stolen bases. Won the MVP, didn't get it. Only 10 other guys have done this. So Bobby Witt, Jacoby Ellsbury, 2006 Carlos Beltran, A-Rod in 2003, but he didn't get. He only had 17 stolen bases. These other guys are only 15 or more stolen bases, right? Mookie Betts, 2018, he was able to do it. Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr., PCA, and Andrew Jones.
Yeah.
That's
Every-
the list
every
of what
single
he's
player-
going for right now.
Every single player you just named was a superstar in the game of baseball
Right.
for a long time.
MVP candidate.
And one that was a first ballot Hall of Famer, and one that should have been one if it weren't because the BBWAA Geek Squad that Luke Stuckmeyer likes to joke about.
Multiple, right? A-Rod and Bonds. Both.
But yeah. Well, yeah, they have
both
multiple
out of the Hall
ones,
of Fame, yeah.
Yeah, if it weren't for the controversy, I guess you could call it. Like,
What
you want me to get Delulu, Joey?
I mean,
are you
come on.
trying to
It's
push? Are you
beer
trying
money
to
time,
push
baby.
delusion?
Beer money time.
Are you trying to push delusion, like epic proportions of delusion on June 18th?
It's just
that I should start thinking that Pete Crow-Armstrong is going to be a Hall of Famer one day. Like, this is what you're doing to me right now, is you are pushing propaganda that I'm not against. I'm not against this propaganda, Joey, but I'm also questioning that if you're pushing this propaganda to, in turn, get me to think that Pete Crow-Armstrong is on path to be a Hall of Fame player.
Well, the reason
Hall of Fame season at least, but hey, I'm right there with you.
Well, the reason his WAR is going to be so high is because he's the best defensive player in the league. A lot of these guys who just slug aren't, elite defensive players. They don't have the 5 tools that Pete has. I'm delusional for. I think. I mean, the dude is the best defensive player in the game, and right now he's leading the National League in home runs and steals, plus steals.
Did you guys see Mark DeRosa go on one of those little tangents today about Pete?
Oh, really?
Victory
lap tangent?
No, it was just like breaking down him as a player, and he full-heartedly said that Pete Crow-Armstrong, that he had a man crush on him because of how good at baseball he is. And I mean, I watched it. It's 4 minutes, a 4-minute clip that MLB Network put out there. And I mean, if you need something to put a smile on your face, if you had a bad day and you are listening, watching us right now, and you need something to feel good about, go watch that clip, man. Because Mark DeRosa, a guy who we watched play with the Cubs and just be awesome TV baseball analyst, like, he breaks it down to just how good at baseball this guy is.
And he wants Pete to come play for him, Team USA, too. He said that a couple of times. He goes, hey, this guy might have to wear red, white, and blue soon. How cool would that be?
Dude, just to have a Cub be like playing in like that big of a atmosphere and game, like for Team USA? When was the last time that happened?
Couldn't tell you. I'd have to look before my time or when I was a young man.
Like in the last World Baseball Classic, Javier Assad played for Mexico. I remember my guy Miles Mastrobuoni played for Italy. I'm talking about Team USA though. When did Brian or Rizzo play back in the 2010s? Like I can't remember what year it was.
Let's take a look here as we take our second ad break here on CHGO Cubs. We'll come back with that information for you right after this. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. It's a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer. So what are some of those products? Well, it's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. It's got expertly curated menus, over 100 strains to choose from, and easy online ordering and in-store pickup. It's Illinois' favorite dispensary. Locations in Wrigleyville, River North, Champaign, South Beloit, and more. If you're just starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance and brands we know you'll love, like Good News and Mindy's. And if you're a pro, we've got you covered. Again, over 100 strains on the menu and new ones added every single day. Curated wellness advisors, staff picks, collections, and more. We know you'll love the Cresco and Florical's incredible quality and consistent products. Visit sunnyside.shop for our Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases using the code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Bright Buys every single day, only for 21 up or Illinois medical card holders. For existing users, use the promo code CHGO50 for 50% off one Cresco Labs brand item.
Listen up, folks. Just like your favorite team needs a favorite home field advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. Look, you go to the big box stores, you wander the endless aisles, can't find what you need, total waste of time. That's why Empire Today lives and breathes flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way. It's a whole different ball game. Their flooring experts bring you the showroom right to your home. Pick your right flooring and the right colors for your space. Get precise measurements taken and take all your questions answered, because there are no surprises with Empire Today. You get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. So here's what you got to do. Schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code CHGO. Yes, you heard that right. $350 discount with CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/CHGO for full details.
Shout out to Sean Caselli for putting that info in the chat. Michael Barrett and Derek Lee made the 2006 Team USA team. And I saw a couple other guys. Yeah, we mentioned Javier Baez played for Team Puerto Rico. We were talking Cubs players who were on the Cubs when Team USA had a team together. Because you look and see a lot of guys who are now on the Cubs who have played in various capacities for different levels of Team USA before. But I don't remember the last time we've had a starting player. And so I don't know if it was 2006, but either way, exciting stuff. Pete's certainly a spectacle.
I went on the old Google machine and I looked up the 2006 Team USA. Yeah, like Derek Lee's on here. I don't see Michael Barrett's name though. I'm on Wikipedia. Oh, there it is. Never mind. I just can't read. So yeah, the 2006 World Baseball Classic Team USA had Michael Barrett and Derek Lee, both representing for the Cubs. So
that's pretty neat. Pete also made some other news this week that he does not want to participate in the home run derby. And
yeah, he said that last night, I think.
I think it's disappointing for me. I really wanted to see him in there. I'm not mad at him for not wanting to do it, because he is right. Some of these guys, batting practice home run is different than hitting a 95-mile-an-hour fastball for a home run. It's just basic momentum and physics, right? Like, he doesn't have the pop that some of these bigger guys do. He's not this huge home run hitter. I mean, he is, but it's a different type of environment that he'd be hitting in. So he doesn't want to do it. He probably won't, which is a little disappointing. So are there any Cubs that should? I would love to see Seiya in it, but I don't know if he'll want to do it either. Well, maybe. I feel like somebody on the Cubs should. They're near the top of the league in home runs.
I mean, for me, in terms of just like Pete not doing it, it's a disappointment largely just because of the star that he is becoming. And I mean, he's behind only Ohtani in All-Star votes. So I think fans would love to see him do the Derby just because of how popular he is right now. So from a fan standpoint, that's disappointing. At the other end of the spectrum, though, we've seen guys do the Derby and then their swing be completely messed up in the second half of the season. And this is a guy who, in my opinion, is still developing all these things. Like, I'm fine. I'm fine that he's not doing it. But as far as other Cubs, I mean, I think Seiya is the most obvious of obvious answers for the Cubs.
So fun to watch.
I think Michael Busch would make a good a good one too.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
4 words: Vidal Brujan.
Vidal Brujan, yeah.
Well,
No. I let myself out. All right.
Yeah, let's get Nico Horner out there. He finally hit one over the fence this year. You know?
A double derby. He did great.
But yeah, no, I think Seiya or Michael Busch make a lot of sense if there was a Cub to be asked to do one. The thing that kind of goes against Michael Busch, and this isn't hit on him. He's underrated. People do not talk about him. You know what I mean? Like, so when it comes to All-Star festivities and you see Michael Busch's name on there, it's like only Cubs fans are going to know who that is, and then maybe some like real sicko baseball fans. You know, the All-Star game and just the All-Star festivities, it's always been just like who's popular, who are people talking about, and that's who they want to try and highlight in these things to get people to watch, you know. So I think Seiya, because of being from Japan and that being such a big baseball environment, I think that would get more eyes than Michael Busch.
And
also, he has more homers.
Well, yeah, he has more
and he
homers.
hits freaking
and
tanks.
He can absolutely mash. Yeah, that's the other thing.
But hey, I haven't forgot about that Michael Busch homer that he hit in Philadelphia last week, almost 450 feet. That guy can hit a ball far, okay?
No, and that's what's so cool about this season is it just stacking up all the different storylines. And I know we want to put PCA into every single moment that we can and watch him and enjoy him, but I think this would be a great moment for Seiya Suzuki. That could also be his coming out party on a national audience, and like you said, mash a little bit. Consolation prize. What I would really want more than the home run derby for PCA is I want him to hit like leadoff, and him and Scooble, first pitch, first at bat, and then I want to see him like mic'd up in the first and second inning. Well, see him track down a fly ball. That would be my consolation prize for what I would want from PCA, probably more than him hitting tanks.
100% they will mic him up during the All-Star game.
Yeah,
I can almost guarantee that. The emerging superstar in Major League Baseball, he's the Corbin Carroll, the Bobby Witt of this season.
He'll do the little big league thing and do the whole deal. And maybe he tracks down a ball in the gap. I think that'd be more PCA-like, you know what I mean, to put him into the All-Star game like that.
You know what I think he's saving it for? I'll put on my tinfoil hat. Maybe, just maybe, Pete doesn't want to do the home run derby this year because he wants to do it in 2027 when supposedly and quite sounds very likely that Wrigley Field will host its first All-Star game in about 30 years. Big news in Chicago City Council today. This was one of the last things Major League Baseball needed the Cubs to do before they said, hey, we'll give you an All-Star game. You got to improve security around the ballpark. So City Council today formally approved the $32 million project that will put up the concrete bollards around the stadium, completely around. Those are what you see them in front of shopping centers and things like that, like in front of Target. It keeps cars from driving up onto the sidewalk. They're rooted deep in the ground. They're big concrete structures. People will still be able to walk through. And also widening the sidewalks. So just a safety thing. They needed to widen the sidewalks along Addison. So those are the two parts of it. Cubs will pay $8 million. The state pays $12 million, and the city of Chicago puts in $10 million for it. And the Cubs have to pay for, the modernizing of any break or the upkeep and whatnot. But this is a big deal because this seemed like this was the last hurdle that the alderman who represents the area, Bennett Lawson, said, hey, we can get an All-Star game here, but this is what needs to happen. Yeah. So sounds like 2027 is pretty real now that this is in, and that construction will start at some point. Pete's going to wait for 2027 to hit balls onto the Sheffield rooftops, which they should put up targets. We talked about that before the show. How cool would that be? Come on, play it up a little bit. Play the neighborhood up. Put signs up there.
Harry Carey face.
Make that home
dye
run.
the trees blue like we dye the river green.
Make it worth 5 homers. Yeah.
I just need Tom to invest in those big giant fans just in case the wind is blowing in again like it did in 1990, dude. Like, I can't imagine going to a home run derby where the guy who won didn't Sandberg hit like 4 homers? Or no, he hit like 1 or 2, didn't he?
That was before my time.
In the 1990 home run derby, Ryan Sandberg won with like 1 or 2 homers, something like that.
It's back. No, it's coming back. Hit the wind's
like
knocking
warning
down.
track kings that day. Everyone,
that's crazy,
you know what I mean?
actually.
So like I'm just hoping the wind's blowing out that day, man. I'm actually more excited about the home run derby at Wrigley during the All-Star game festivities in 2027 than I am the actual game. Other than the fact that, like, watching PCA run out to center field at Wrigley Field for the All-Star game will be sick, but, like...
And Kyle Tucker in a Cubs uniform.
I don't even have to be in the park. I'll go be a ball hawk out on Waveland with all the real sickos out there who've been doing that for decades. That's the one day that I would do it. Because they're going to hit so many balls out there.
Oh, that's that whole week, that 3-day stretch.
Maybe someone will finally hit it where Glenn Allen Hill hit it.
Yeah. Put something up there on the roof.
What is it
on the roof?
465, right? Is that what the foul pole says? I think it's 465.
I think that ball's still traveling, buddy. I don't think they've ever.
But on the actual rooftop, it's like 460 something. Yeah,
that's gonna be a
guys can hit it.
Market.
Guys will be able to hit it up there.
Yeah, I mean they bring in those.
Maybe the best thing to do at that time is to get a ticket in the rooftops.
I say make it worth 5 homers. Incentivize it. Make it even more. It's exciting, man. The Cubs, it's not official yet. MLB has not yet announced that the Cubs are getting the 2027 All-Star game, but City Council approving that package today for enhanced safety measures around the ballpark. It does sound like, hey, it was a handshake under the table agreement. Says Major League Baseball says, hey, get this done and we'll make it happen, but you got to get this done. And they moved pretty quickly on it. It got pitched, and they were like, oh, well, we'll make how much money off the All-Star game in Wrigley with all these fans? We'll have the spotlight on Chicago for a whole weekend. We'll spend $30 million. Yeah, sounds good. We'll make that back big time. So
they just brought me in the room, and they're like, this person right here is going to pay $1,000.
Can I use this segment to emphasize my propaganda on another reason why the Cubs should extend Kyle Tucker?
Please.
Because if this team is good for the next 5 years, while you have a superstar in Crow-Armstrong making absolutely no money, and then you have your cornerstone franchise player who's been there, done that, won a World Series, and is having a great first year in Chicago, if you have those two on this team for the next 5+ years, you're going to be a competitive team for the foreseeable future. And even if there is a stoppage of play because of the players and the owners can't come to an agreement before or after 2026, like you're still gonna have a really good team, and you're gonna want to be highlighted at the All-Star game in 2027. Like, it would be very Cubs if they stunk and they had the All-Star game at Wrigley.
And I do want to give
just let me push that propaganda.
I do want to give credit where credit is due here too. Bruce Levine was first to report that on the Score. I want to make sure he gets his due on that the Cubs will get the All-Star game in 2027. It's unofficially official right now. We're still waiting on the official announcement. But if you're wondering why we're live right now, Cubs and Brewers rained out today. They will play a day-night doubleheader August 18th. The Cubs were supposed to go up against the Brewers' top pitching prospect, Jacob Misiorowski, tonight. Disappointed. I was kind of hoping we'd see him, but we will see him probably. Cubs have plenty of games left with Milwaukee, 3 more series, I believe, or 2 more after this one left with Milwaukee, so we'll see him at some point.
I'd personally rather face him tomorrow than Freddie Peralta. So
are they gonna push his start tomorrow?
I know Tyone is starting for the Cubs tomorrow.
Okay, so they'll probably
honestly hope that the rookie goes tomorrow instead of Peralta.
I would assume that's probably what both managers will do.
Freddie Peralta, not my favorite.
Yeah, he owns
in terms
the
of
Cubs.
he's a really good pitcher, and he's had great success for a long time.
And what's his name? Kevin Misiorowski?
Jacob Misiorowski,
yeah. He throws 100, all these things. I don't care. He's a rookie, all right? And this Cubs offense is good, all right? I'd actually if we can somehow, some way have a 6.5 game lead in the NL Central and having to go through Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens and Zach Wheeler and anyone else that I have forgotten over the last 2 weeks, give me another rookie, because they hit off Mick Abel last week against Philadelphia, who is one of the top pitching prospects in baseball too.
Yeah,
and they hit off him. So that's who I hope we get that kid tomorrow instead of Freddie Peralta, man.
Yeah, it's a shame. Maybe we'll hit it on the other side of the break. I was excited to come in here and actually propose the question that Jameson Taillon right now is at 7 wins. I think the leader right now in the National League is at 9. If he puts together 2 or 3 more starts, do we actually have a fringe all-star conversation with Jameson Taillon too as well?
Well, me and Kevin pushed some Matt Boyd propaganda the other day, so we can push Jameson Taillon propaganda if you want.
3rd in the NL in WHIP.
All right.
I don't know if the Cubs will get a starter in there, but I do think they deserve to get a relief pitcher in there. Let's hit our final ad break here on CHGO Cubs. Going to come back with a story from The Athletic that came out a month ago talking about front offices and how that report looks a little silly right about now. It's tough to track your money sometimes, figuring out where it goes, financial blind spots, food deliveries, online shopping, therapy, whatever it may be. It's more than your average budgeting app that will help you get it done. Monarch Money, a complete financial command center for all your accounts, investments, and goals. Don't just manage your money, start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners. So did you learn anything surprising about your finances with Monarch? I certainly did. I kept track of all of my Ubers, realized I was spending a lot on Uber, so I started to walk a little bit more. So start managing your finances. Build the life you actually want. Without a clear financial picture, financial dreams can feel out of reach. Monarch Money makes money simple, even for busy lives. With all your accounts, credit cards, and investments in one place, you know where your money stands without the hassle. The finance tool people actually love. Join over 1 million households who use it. Named Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money and use the code CHGO at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. Again, half off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code CHGO.
Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake is kicking off the summer with big savings all month, fellas. All right, come in today and shop the summer sales event and drive home with $10,000 off MSRP on new Chevy models. Check out their selection with over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000, Joey.
Oof.
You know, with one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. Plus, Ray's price promise lets you shop confidently because the price you see is the price you pay. Go see for yourself. Visit our partner at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake. And don't miss out on their summer sales event going on all month long for $10,000 off MSRP on new Chevy models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
And yeah, taking a look at starting pitchers for tomorrow, Tyone for the Cubs, and the Brewers have not said if they will bump Mizorowski. Obviously, Freddie Peralta was the scheduled starter. I would guess with a rookie, they'll probably just bump him and keep Peralta in line to start, especially because these are important games for the Brewers, who are now 6.5 out.
Yeah.
And you pretty much need to win the National League Central to make the postseason in the National League. And these games matter almost double. So I would assume they'll probably go with their top guy tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see if I'm wrong, but I would put my money on Freddie Peralta tomorrow. Let's talk about this athletic survey. What's up?
Yeah, before we get to that, Megan Montemurro on Blue Sky. I don't know if she tweets anymore. I haven't seen her on my timeline in a while. Maybe she moved to Blue Sky. She tweeted earlier tonight that Eli Morgan did not come out of his rehab outing in AAA last night well, and so he's being reevaluated by doctors. So, and that's like Craig Counsell said that today, I guess, to the media before they postponed the game. So,
but good news on Porter Hodge, though, right? He came out clean.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
And Eli Morgan, I mean, it is what it is. Guy's been, let's just call it what it is, like objectively trash this year. Was there an injury? I don't know. But all I do know is that the guy was an arm, and you looked at him as someone who was going to contribute this year, and he hasn't contributed at all. So that sucks in general because you traded a prospect for him. I think it was like a low A prospect, so whatever. But I don't know. It's one of those that like Jed deserves a lot of credit for this team, but this Eli Morgan acquisition hasn't looked good. But that's just one small move.
Yeah, and he hasn't been effective for us at all this year, and hasn't spent a lot of time. But, you know, as we've seen, you know, when Javier Assad goes down, we figure it out. We'll be fine. Yeah. We'll be fine. And eventually these things can bite you a little bit if injuries start to climb up. Yeah. So, I mean, it just isn't great news. It is great news, though, that Porter Hodge is going to be back in the mix. And I'm really curious to see what his role is going to be. I'm sure they're probably going to bring him back slowly, probably give him some seventh innings. But, but Palencia is our closer now. And Presley has worked his way back into high-leverage situations. So they can give him a little bit of a grace period to come back. But now just another great arm that you could possibly add for those last 9 outs.
Yeah. Sean points out for everybody in the chat that's smart. Yeah, it's unfortunate for Morgan. It does save the Cubs from a roster crunch, though. Yeah, that's important. He's on the 60-day IL.
Fair enough.
So that is an important thing to notice. You mentioned Jed Hoyer and the acquisitions he made this offseason. Yeah, that one doesn't look like it's going to pan out. And injuries happen. It stinks.
Yeah. It's more about injury than it being a good or a bad move. I remember when they traded for Morgan early in the offseason, and of course it was early in the offseason. You're coming off the disappointing 2024 year, and like all of Cubs Twitter was up in arms. They were ready to like get the pitchforks out and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, it's November. Like, I don't know. But anyway, yeah.
It's
one of the few bad ones. But
let's talk about this athletic piece because it relates to acquisitions Jed has made over the years as GM, and it talks about ranking front offices. And this is the one that came out last week. I said last month because The Athletic also put out a ranking of front offices and things like that earlier in the year.
Yeah.
But this one talks about ranking managers. It talks about which managers you want to play for across all teams in baseball, which organizations have good reputations, bad reputations, et cetera, et cetera. So which manager, aside from your own, would you most like to play for? I thought this response was... I would have predicted this, to be honest. I think this is one of the Cubs' strongest suits, and that's their manager, Craig Counsell. Fourth most votes on managers players would want to play for. 121 respondents, players. I know in Chicago, this is a quote from the article, they talk about how well they treat their families. They are just about keeping traditions alive. They love their history and legacies and try to continue that. So I thought that was interesting, but not surprising. Craig Counsell is one of the game's elite managers.
Yeah, well, they did a poll on like the guys that players want to play with the most and then the ones that they don't want to play with. And I want to point out for the ones that they don't want to play with, Ollie Marmol was like at the top, and I just love that for me. I truly do love that for me. He got 5 votes, and weirdly enough, Mike Schilt got 4 votes, and he's managing the Padres, so that was kind of like maybe the Cardinals were onto something there because I think they got a lot of criticism for letting him go, and I think it's still justified since they haven't been good without him, and the Padres are a good team, so it's very interesting on the ones that no one wants to play for at least. I think as far as like manager though. Craig Counsell has a reputation. To me, it's not very surprising. I think there was only like 4, like you said, Kevin. There were 3 others that got more votes, and I want to say Dave Roberts is like one of those that are ahead of him, and that makes so much sense. And
Dave Roberts is probably he's probably number 1, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the most likable managers in the entire league. If you don't like Dave Roberts, I don't know why. You'd have to give me a good argument to fall on your side of that argument. He's a great baseball manager.
As far like the quotes that you read, players I know in Chicago, they talk about how well they treat families. They are just about keeping traditions alive. They love their history and their legacies and try to continue that. That's not related to Craig Counsell. I put that in the wrong spot in Notion, so I'm sorry. But that was what's said whenever they did this similar type poll for which organizations have good reputations among the players and bad reputations.
Are you sabotaging me?
I'm just trying to like help.
Did you put that in there to make me look bad?
I did not mean to do that.
That's crazy,
I'm sorry.
Cody.
But the Cubs got 22 votes out of 126 people who responded. The Dodgers got 82, so they got over half of them. Yankees got 40, Braves got 25, Cubs got 22. So all I know is that they didn't get any for being a bad organization, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I don't think it's ever been about that for probably ever since the Ricketts took over the team. I think the biggest problem has been the numbers on the bottom line of the contract with these guys, which is honestly a separate conversation than what we're having here. I could just speak on like Craig Counsell. Apparently, word on the street is that he's hilarious. Always enjoy that.
Like dead humor.
Yeah, dead humor. Yeah. And Nick Horner said something that he's always he's not in front of the joke, but he's a part of making the joke happen, which I have a lot of great respect for. I think that's super cool. I can just speak from what I've seen on the field, and we've talked about this a bunch, but what I love about Craig Counsell, and we're seeing it come to fruition, is last year, one of the big differentiators with him and David Ross was that David Ross leaned on the vets.
Yeah.
Leaned on the vets a lot. And what happened with Miguel Amaya and Pete Crow-Armstrong is hopefully a very instructive piece of what makes Craig Counsell one of the better managers in the game, is that he stuck with them. Sure, he backed off of them at times, right, for 4 or 5 games maybe to get them right, and leg kick with Amaya and a lot of adjustments, but he stuck with them all through it. And now he's seeing the fruits of letting those kids develop like that. And I think that's a great way to run a baseball team and run your program. And I'm excited to see how he has handled the at times rocky waters of Ben Brown, because I think Ben Brown is going to be a rotation guy for the next handful of years.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing with Cade Horton too. So when you mix that together with some of the intangibles that maybe we don't see, it's looking more and more like, Jed did the right thing by ponying up and paying $40 million to Craig Counsell.
Well, I think Craig Counsell, it's so much PTSD from the 2024 season, but so many fans would come in our YouTube chat, I'd read it on social media, so many fans, their biggest criticism was the fact that he wouldn't get thrown out of games. Like, legitimately, that was the biggest criticism I feel like I saw about Craig Counsell last year, because he wouldn't get ejected from games because we need robot umpires and it comes off as if you are not sticking up for your guys. And whether you want to argue that as fact or not, fine. But clearly, based off this poll, guys like to play for him. And I think he has built a reputation for himself personally as a even keel, he's not Lou Piniella. He's not going to go out there and throw third base down the third base line or whatever he did back in 2007, right? Or kick dirt on the umpire. That's what he actually did. He's not going to do that. Hell, when he's been ejected this year, it's been very mild, nothing crazy.
He does it in bunches.
So, I just think that his value as a manager, to me, and I thought this last year too, is just what you said, Joey, about playing young players, letting them go through the ups and downs, and consistently doing that. And then I truly feel like he manages a bullpen as well as anyone in baseball. And it's hard to tell from last year, but that was largely on Jed Hoyer because he didn't have any depth. Yeah. Didn't have any depth. This year they have depth, and you're seeing they don't have their 2 best starting pitchers, and they had what was looked at as their best reliever out these last couple weeks, and the Cubs have the 4th best bullpen ERA in baseball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He just has figured it out with so many random dudes, and I feel like I saw that movie so many times when he was in Milwaukee. The value that Craig Counsell should bring to the Cubs, and this is more on ownership, is that to have that skill set that he does, but in an organization that's actually supposed to spend money.
Yeah, dude.
But that's something we can talk about in the offseason.
Let's not forget, too, Craig Counsell is a World Series champion.
Yeah, as a player.
Let's not forget that players, and I think that's why a lot of players love David Ross, too, guys who have been through it, have seen it, have won in the biggest moments. I think that's important. But with Craig, Jed said it best, and he said it multiple times, he's just steady. I look at this Cubs team, and there's so many differences from the last several years of teams. Obviously, the talent is the first and foremost, pops off the page. But they are so damn prepared every night. The steals, the aggressiveness on the bases, the always being in the right spots defensively, bullpen, having guys set up to succeed, playing the numbers, following the science. There's some baseball managers and guys out there who wouldn't do those things, right? They would just go, this guy's been in a hot streak, so I'm going to play him against this. Craig's like, no, the numbers tell me this, and I'm going to do that. Because guess what? That's the smart way to run a baseball team, man.
Yeah.
Love David Ross to death. But you're right. He would rely on the veterans and not play the numbers all the time, and I think that's the difference. And it's not surprising to me to see that Craig is the 4th highest manager that players would want to play for, according to this Athletic article. Well, it's not surprising to me at all.
Yeah, and Counsell's also talked about how trying to make base running a priority in spring training. I think we're one of the better base running teams, if not one of the best in the National League or in the major leagues. And when you talk about David Ross, the difference a little bit too is the stylistic nature of how the roster was set up at that time. I mean, that team was built a little bit more on the 3-run home run, leaned a little bit more on vets. And if you're saying to yourself, you want maybe Craig Counsell's team to reflect the style from which the manager wants to play the game, I mean, how can we argue with the results right now, right? I mean, you have to have the players in place with the defense and Gold Gloves all across the mound. I guess that makes it a little bit easier, but the base running, stealing bases, the defense, the way that they play the game is hopefully a reflection of the manager. And if that's the case, Chicago Cubs got a good one, and the future's bright.
Yeah. No, I think he had the best odds to win National League Manager of the Year coming into the year on Vegas at like plus 450, I think, on Bet365. I mean,
how's Alex Cora doing with that right now?
I mean, I feel like the Cubs have been a lot better than anyone expected. He deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah.
So before we get out, I thought the bad organizations, the Athletics led with everyone. 39 votes for worst organization, which is the most unsurprising thing. White Sox 31 votes. They got second worst.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would put the Rockies worse than the White Sox, but that's just me. Guys, this was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Glad we could do this
Thank
off the
you for
show.
having me, guys. I appreciate it. You guys do, obviously, an amazing job. Shout out to Katie, producer.
Yeah, Katie, thank you.
Shout out to Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Please donate at the bottom there for letting me come on to do musical chairs, guys.
Yeah,
Great
Corey and Brendan tomorrow. Cubs will finish the series against the Brewers. No game today. They'll play a day-night doubleheader August 18th. Thanks so much for joining us today.
I'll see y'all Sunday.
CHGO Cubs, sponsored by Toyota and Bet365. Make sure you always fly that W.
120 Club.
We all silly like the mayor.